in life.
And what I've been thinking about too is if you apply the framework of the growth mindset versus a fixed mindset
All right.
these areas, and to jump on what you mentioned about, a lot of times people are fulfilling certain patterns that were ingrained in them as children, and sometimes it's the being versus the doing. Like
Right. Yes. Right.
I have to be a smart person. It's not just do the learning, but be the smart person. And sometimes anything that could threaten that can be debilitating. So helping people to understand that, taking small steps every day and setting goals can be very rewarding. But people need to be able to see themselves in that new world, or else they won't put forth effective effort toward being successful.
Right, and that fits into. There's another book I'm reading it's just out. It's by a psychologist named Barry Scott Kaufman, PhD, and of course he has a little blog called the Psychology Blog, and he gets a lot of different interesting psychologists who come on there. I'm not asking everybody to sign up for it, but I mean, if you enjoy that type of modality and things like that, you can learn quite a bit. Anyway, his new book is called Transcender. Okay. And to transcend is he's taking the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and we've all seen that big pyramid. But what he does on top of that I think adds to what we've just been discussing here with these two other books, he says, there's a need for what you just talked about, being, mm-hmm. and the importance of, being is larger than just the doing. And he's saying that, there's an urge inside us to rise to the next level. And what happened is Maslow died probably too young, that he wasn't able to educate.
He's gone back. What that really felt like. Yeah.
Yeah. He was ready for talking about there's something beyond just, fulfilling these sort of physiological and sort of self-actualizing needs and things like that. There was another level.
That life stage work that goes on and on.
Yeah, it goes on. And there tends to be, there's a sort of corresponding type of theoretical development of saying that, what we've positioned and how we see the world probably is limited to certain stages, if you like, of the pyramid in which we're in. And yet it goes on farther, way beyond us. And we would look at the sages and the poets and the saints and people like that and realize that those people probably have stepped up to another level that's probably just beyond the ordinary, common, everyday. How do you be a successful person? So, but that transcender thing is there. How do you start to live your life fully so that you're not only contributing to the best, but you're also experiencing the best in yourself? And I think that's where these books can be helpful.
I can't wait to hear more about that. I'm gonna take your recommendation. Maybe that's our second topic. Is the
started on him.
So, David, what would you think that Dr. Swart's most important piece of advice would be for an entrepreneur who's in our space, the organization development, HR, and coaching space, as an entrepreneur? What would you think she would recommend?
Well, she'd probably recommend. I think she recommends, do find somebody who's out there who you're compatible with, who could give you a little coaching, whether it's, voluntary or it's just somebody like that, somebody who can lead you through your steps, because what you're going to do when you become an entrepreneur or you start to move, you start to have hesitation, because the personality of a person who's a type of entrepreneurial tends to be an overachiever and a personality trait type of thing. But they also tend to be, yeah. And they also tend to be, they tend to be ambitious. And so they have to overcome what she calls there's a gradient inside of us that doesn't want to take too much risk. And, in a world where we see a lot of things seem very iffy, it's not easy to take a risk, but if you can find somebody who can encourage you to help you to sort of come to that door so that you can, let go of those inhibitions or apprehensions that would hold you back, you might find a glorious and wonderful, not only life, but you'll be able to create a great business and a great opportunity for other people and for yourself. But
do good by doing well by doing good. Is that the?
Yeah. Pay it forward. After a while, you run into these same sort of things. But I think what what her idea is, you know, find somebody who can help, because it's sometimes we don't see ourselves in the greatness that we are. We see ourselves somewhat with our limitations. And so I think in the end, you could just say at the end here, if you go back to her final little thing, she's obviously a very learned person, and she had to overcome the whole idea of, you know, getting remarried again. That's part of her challenge, and being able to sort of get into that relationship, because she was so driven and also always felt she grew up in a family that, you know, you must excel, you must excel, you must excel. But she didn't feel right, and, you know, she felt like she was a misfit until she actually found the person she was looking for. So her big thing is, you know, it's somewhat repetition, and she has a thing here that go and you read this book. It says, now you've done it, you've come to the end, nothing can stop you now. So I think that sort of sums it up. You know, in the end, I always read the conclusion. That's the little thing, and you sort of know what the author is really trying to intend towards. So
I think that in the success principles, what Jack Canfield would recommend is, his very first principle in the book is you should always take 100% responsibility for your reactions. And so that sets the stage for his next several principles, where he's talking about, you know, don't make excuses, but take 100% responsibility. So in that case, you're also then building the platform of possibilities too, it seems to me. If you're 100% responsible, even if there's, you know, COVID, the coronavirus going on, and then what? You know, realize that each obstacle in your life or in your path isn't necessarily a barrier, but could be an opportunity. And again, that reframing certain things, and his focus on perseverance, and that's like capital P perseverance. I mean, what he described on the ways that they sold some of their first, you know, million books in the Chicken Soup series, or, well, he would do 5 things every day. You know, he would, you know, either send out 5 free copies, or call 5 people, or you know, write to a new podcast, but relentlessly following that path and believing in what the goals were. And so I think